Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Here with the March 25th spoilers from Shadow over Innistrad. We have the complete set. So this might be a long video, but I'm going to try to go through the commons and uncommons here that have been spoiled. I think we have a few rares left that haven't been spoiled. And just talk about some of the interactions here and cards I like and see what we have. So this again is going to be a blind spoiler. That means I haven't seen it yet. So here we go. Town Gossip Monger. Tap and untap creature controlled, transform it, so it's a 1/1 for 1, and then it turns into a 2/3, and it has fire breathing, has to attack. Nice little pickup at uncommon for like a white weenie deck for draft. Of course, this probably won't see standard playable, but it's a definitely good uncommon pickup. A Cursed Witch. Spells your opponent's cast that target a Cursed Witch cost 1 less. It's a 4/2 for 4, and then it transforms when it dies to a curse, another curse. So wow, we're getting a few more curses. Enchants onto players and spells you cast that target enchanted player cost 1 less to cast. It's not bad for like discard cards. I'm thinking like Rakdos, Rakdos' Return, things like that. You know, it can pump up your ability to at least 1 less sync to it, or just if you're chaining multiple spells. And at the beginning of each enchanted player's upkeep, that player lose 1 life, you gain a life. So it starts to tax them. Not a bad card with a 4/2 body. This is going to be a great card in draft and sealed. Kindly Stranger, Delirium, transform it. If it has Delirium, activate this ability only if there are 4 more cards, and then it comes into a 4/3. Still not a bad card. At 3 mana for a 2/3, that's decent in draft. That means you can block 2 2s or 2 1s and survive, and then turns into a 4/3. So it gets some added benefit later on, and pretty much a filler card. Gats Taff Arsonists. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you have no spells were cast, transform it, so it's a werewolf, and then it gets Menace. That's not bad. Gearer Reach Bandit. I think that's how you say this. Gearer. 3 mana for 3/2 haste. Not bad again. It's a rogue. We like the rogue. Tribal, of course, here at RogueDeckBuilder.com. It's 3/2 haste. That's not bad at all for 3. And then it transforms like a werewolf. And then whenever a werewolf enters the battlefield under your control, you may... Whoa! I likey this card. I really like this. So 3 mana, and then it gets haste, immediate value. When it flips, turns into a 4/3 that allows you to flip any of your werewolves immediately. So any of those activated abilities that flip. Too bad Huntmaster of the Fells isn't in this set, because this would be a great card to kind of chain into Huntmasters, because they immediately come in, gain 2 life, and then you can transform it, put a 2/2 and do 2 damage. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of value out of this card, or a lot of synergies that we're going to have to break. Do you know what a format I'd really like to see? And I hope Watsy's listening here. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with this. I want to see Plane, the format like that we can call planar or something like that. Where you can only use cards, now that we're returning to certain blocks, that you can only use cards that were on that plane. So it'd be really weird with like the core sets M10 through Origins, because then would those cards be legal because they're obvious part of those plane, like Helio's Emissary from M15 would be a Theros card. I mean, it would be kind of a headache to try to get this type of format going, but I'm going to try to do a whole video on it, and we can talk about synergies, because now that we've returned to Zendikar, returned to Innistrad, returned to the Ravnica, it'd be really fun to either play like planes versus planes, like you can come with only cards, all your cards in your deck have to be from a particular plane, and then you can match it versus someone from another plane, or if it's like block, but you could just keep it within that plane, because there's some really, look at all these werewolves that synergize quite well with the old Innistrad cards, but unfortunately they're not going to be powerful enough for modern, but at the same time they're not going to be available in standard because it's way past the rotation. We saw that with Zendikar. There's a lot of cards I wanted to actually hook up with, like the older Eldrazi's. Of course, you could have seen the power of Eldrazi Temple and Eye-of-Ugin. I mean, that would have been a bad combination for that format, and those cards would have had to been banned. But I really think that'd be a sweet format, and then we can start using a lot of the same mechanics from the same planes, and have like, because this card, oh, it so wants to be with like Mayor of Averbrook and Huntmaster of Fells, and it's just not quite powerful enough to be there in modern, in my opinion. Who knows, though? Maybe it is. Maybe this is a deck that could happen. We do have that other one that forces transformations, transforms all humans into werewolves to get this guy transformed, and then After that, you can basically abuse it. All right, so we'll move on. We have a lot of cards to go through, but let me know in the comment section below if you think that'd be a cool format or not. Then we have Kessig's Forge Master, which is a 2/1 for 2 mana. Whenever Kessig's Forge Master blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 1 damage to that creature. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform it. And then it does 2 damage, becomes a 3/2. Very, very nice pickup in Sealed or Draft. Skin Invasion, 1 mana. Enchanted creature attacks each turn if able, and when it dies, return Skin Invasion to the battlefield, transform to your control, and then becomes a 3/4. That is not actually that horrible if you can force it on a creature without an activated ability. Force them to attack into one of your creatures, kill it, and then you get a 3/4. So it's almost like pseudo removal. Throw it on one of the... You could actually throw it on one of your own guys, too. I probably don't suggest that. I think this wants to go on an opponent's creature, and when it dies, you get a 3/4. The Autumnal Gloom, put top card of your library in your graveyard. That's not bad. Little dredge, or self-mill type for just 1 enchantment that sticks around. And then if they're being of end step, if they're 4 or more, it becomes a trample hexproof 4/4. That's a pretty sweet card, actually, again, for limited. I don't quite see this. Like in a Mimeoplasm Commander deck or a Sidisi Commander deck, Brood Tyrant Commander deck, I think this might actually go in there, because you do want self-mill. That's actually pretty cool with Sidisi. Go on to Hermit of the Natternals. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, draw a card. Not bad. They counter your spell, draw a card. Then when it transforms, it becomes a 3/5 and draw 2 cards if they cast a spell during your turn. Really, really cool card. I like this card a lot. Solitary Hunter, Human Warrior Werewolf, 3/4, and turns into a 5/6. Very bland card, but it's on par stat levels, 3/4 for 4, into a 5/6. Not a bad card. Harvest Hand, 2/2 for 3. When it dies, it transforms into an equipment. That's sweet. We have all these transform cards that like change their card type. I really like that. That's cool. Other than the Menace and +1/+1 is probably not that great, but you're getting value. People need to realize that it's you get a 2/2 and then you get some value that sticks around. The Apothecary Geist. Flying, when it enters the battlefield, if you control another spirit, gain 3 life. That's a great pickup. Flying, 2, 3, 4 mana, gain 3 life. Yep, that's solid. Bound by Moonsilver. Enchant creature can attack, block, or transform. Sacrifice another permanent and attach it to another creature. Activates ability only you can cast a sorcery. So it's like a pacifism that can go on. Early game, you can put it on a weak threat. Later game, you can put it on a greater threat. Not a bad card whatsoever. Cathar's Companion, 3/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gains indestructible. Sweet little... That's a solid little card. Gain 5 life for 1 mana. Ooh. That's actually pretty good. Just 1 mana, gain 5 life. It'll come in versus the hyper-aggressive decks. I'm not usually a typical life gain fan in most of like limited formats, because you want a board state more than anything. And then you want card advantage. So that's 5 life can give you a little bit of stability, but that's only a couple hits even with a 2/2. So you basically have this mini fog effect. I don't like it. Dauntless Cathar, exile Dauntless Cathar from your graveyard. It's a 3/2 for 3, very good. And then you get a 1/1 creature, no, 1/1 white spirit. Very, 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 very solid card for draft and limited. This is huge. This is a great card. This is exactly what you want out of a card. Emissary of the Sleepless, 5 mana for a 2/4 flying. When Emissary of the Sleepless enters the battlefield, if a creature died this turn, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying on the battlefield. This card's a little more problematic because it's 5 mana for maybe a 2/4 and a 1/1. I think this card needed Flash to really put it over the top to make it draftable. It'll be a nice little filler draft card. 5 mana for 2/4 is tough, even if you can get the 1/1 white spirit creature token. Griff Spoon, 1 mana. Enchant creature gets +1/+0 and has flying. And then you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to a creature. This is actually a pretty good card. Too bad it's not a common, because I think this would go into the common Pauper Bogles. I think they're needing another card similar to this. Just an early enchantment that gives any sort of evasion, because a lot of them are already using Call to Serve, which is +1/+2 in flying. So I think this is actually, too bad Heroic doesn't exist anymore. I think that would be perfect for a Heroic deck, but this is also not bad for like a Prowess deck, anything that wants evasion. This will see play. There's got to be a deck that wants this. Inquisitor's Ox, 4 mana for 2/5. It gets +1/+0 in Vigilance as long as you have Delirium activated. And it's okay. It becomes a 3/5 for 4. Militant Inquisitor gets +1/+0 for each equipment you control. That's kind of cool. Maybe Pauper can actually support it. Nah, 3 mana is tough for Pauper. but it gets bigger and bigger for each equipment. Moorland Drifter, 2 mana for 2/2, and has flying if you have Delirium. That's your bear out of white. Nearhearth Chaplain, a 3/1 for 4, lifelink, and now if you exile, you get 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens. That's nice. That's another great pickup, another card you want to be drafting quite a bit of. Not Forgotten, 2 mana for sorcery, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library and put a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying on the battlefield. This is actually pretty underrated. This can be a nice little sideboard card for limited. I think there's better things in constructed, but this can make Delirium go away. It can also, and get you a 1/1 white spirit creature token. It can also affect, if there's any other sort of card, like here's a perfect one, the Grist Boon. You can get rid of the Grist Boon. Oh, my. There we go. Let's find where we were. So I think it's actually not that bad of a card. Open the Armory, 2 mana. Search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. That is a great, great card. This is huge. This is a tutor for 2 mana, uncommon. Pick these up out of people's book. They'll be worth money in 2-3 years. And it gets an aura card. That's awesome. Aura or equipment. So it can go in the Pure Steel Paladin as maybe a few more. You have a Steel Shaper's Gift, but this is just Steel Shapers for 1 more. Puncturing Light, destroy target attacking with block creature power 3 or less. Great card. Instant speed. Of course, it needs to be instant speed if you're going to destroy an attacker. Spectral Shepherd, 3 mana for a 2/2 flying, and then return it to your owner's hand. Yeah, it's this line of blink type ability. Not bad. A 1/1, discard a card, tap a creature. It's a Madness Enabler for white, and it's a 1/1. Strength of Arms, 1 mana, target creature control gets +2/+2 until end turn. If you control equipment, you put a 1/1 white human soldier token on play. Not a bad card again for Prowess. It's a pump spell that has an upside to it. And Prowess actually works off equipments when you cast them anyway. So that's not a bad card. If we get any low drop equipments, I think this is pretty decent. Tenacity. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain lifelink. Untap those creatures. Great, great combat trick spell. Great spell to draft. Unruly Mob. This was a great card back during, I think it was in Dark Ascension or Innistrad the first time. And whenever a creature dies, you get a +1/+1 counter. Really, really good card. Broken Concentration, counter target spell for 3, so it's our little dissolve effect in this set, and it's got Madness 4. Yeah, it's got an upside to a counter spell. They keep trying to find some sort of 3-drop upside. Deny Existence, counter a creature spell, and then exile it. Not bad. It's a good, nice little cyber card as well for problematic cards that recur. Drowned Out Explorers, 2/4, and Investigate. I think Investigate is going to be a pretty awesome mechanic, especially with like the Aether Grid from Origins. This card's a weaker one of the Investigates. The Drano Corpse Trawler, a 4 mana for a 1/1 and puts in a 2/2 black zombie creature, and then you can give zombies Death Touch. It's alright. If you have ways to flicker this card, it's pretty good. Flying, whenever you investigate for the first time you turn, investigate additional. That's actually a solid card. 2 mana for a 1/3 and then gets you double investigates. Well, the first time each turn. This could see constructed playable in an investigate deck. I think we will see an investigate deck again. The Aether Grid is a powerful, powerful card. Essence Flux. 1 mana. Exile. Oh, Flicker. Sweet. Exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield. If it's spirit, put a +1/+1. So talk about our Flicker here. Here you can already Flicker the Corpse Trawler or any other enter the battlefield type effect. You can save it from dying. This is a really, really sweet card. I actually like it. Too bad it's not a common because Pauper would love this card. I think like the ninja deck would be pretty good because you could like the exile the spell setter shite and bring it back into counter stuff. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think we already do have some flicker type effects that are legal. Fleeting Memories. When Fleeting Memories enters the battlefield, investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target player puts the top 3 cards, so it mills. It's alright. Ghostly Wings. I think this card's existed before. It gets +1/+1 to flying, discard a card, return an enchanted creature to owner's hand at the cost of losing the wings. Not a bad card, though. Put a target permanent on top of its owner's library for 5, and then investigate. Not bad, and it's a permanent, so you can actually hit a land, so you can really take them back a turn. Nagging Thoughts. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one in your hand, one in the graveyard. Madness. This is another sweet card with Madness, because it's basically a free spell, a free draw spell. And looking at this, and it's got what? Not Ponder. What's the card that does this? There's a card that does exactly this for 2 mana, or for 1 mana, I believe. So you get 1 card in your graveyard for your Delirium, and you also get 1 card in your hand. And Sorcery Speed, though, but Madness can get around Sorcery Speed. This is a solid card. It'll definitely see play. Press for Answers, 2 mana, tap target creature, it doesn't untap, and investigate. Sorcery Speed, I'd rather have this be instant, but it's solid. A lot of these cards are very solid. We haven't seen a lot of fillers, and now we're starting to see the filler. Reckless Scholar, 2-1 for 3. Then it has the looting effect at 3, though. 3 is a little bit rough, especially when Jace exists. 2 mana for a 1-3. There's our filler zombie. Silverline Snapper. Can't attack unless you cast a non-creature spell. 6 mana for 6/6. I can't tell you how much I hate this card. And Silent Observer. Here's your little blocker. 4 mana flying, 1/5 blocker. 5 mana for 3/3 flash flying. We see these every set. Into the black now. Alms of the Vein. 3 mana. Target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. My God, I am excited about this card. Madness 1. Okay, Madness now works in Pauper. This is our missing link for a red-black Madness Pauper deck. Yes, this card is sweet. It is a Lava Spike that gains you 3 life. This card is insanely good. I'm going to use this like crazy in Pauper, and it's going to be constructed playable. Whew! Jace is going to be great with this card. Wow. I love this card. Love, love, love. I'm starting to get into Pauper a little bit, so it's nice when I start to see cards that actually work well. Behind the scenes, 3 mana. Creatures you control have Skulk, which means they can't be blocked by a creature with greater power, and then you can pump them up. That's okay. Biting Rain, 4 mana, and then Madness. All creatures get -2/-2. The Madness is quite good. Wow, also this Alms of the Vein. We can think about using this in the Waste Not deck. Yeah, this is great in Waste Not. Because Burning Inquiry, you get value out of it. Oh, this is Burning Inquiry is legally in. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. All right, we'll scroll down so I can quit looking at this card. Ghoulcaller's Accomplice, 2 mana for a 2/2. Exile Ghoulcaller's Accomplice from your graveyard. Put a 2/2 black zombie. Sweet, we get one. It's a human rogue too. I'm actually looking for more rogues for the Pauper. I want a rogue deck. Speaking of another card that does 3 damage, 3 life, and draws you a card, it's called Morsel Theft. It's probably my favorite card available in Pauper, and it works off of rogues because that's Prowl. So I don't know if this is quite powerful enough. A 2 for a 2/2 that gets you a 2/2 later on. Sure, it's a great card in Limited. Ghoulsteed, discard 2 cards, return Ghoulsteed from your graveyard to battlefield tap. That's not bad. You self-mill it, 3 mana. It brings on Madness. This is a very solid card. Gissa's Bidding, or Gissa's, however this is said. 4 mana, put 2 black zombie creature tokens on the battlefield. Solid. Madness, very solid. Wow, I am loving black. That's nothing new. Black is my favorite color in Magic, and these are great cards. Black seems to have the most synergies. That's probably why I like it the most. Grotesque Mutation, 3/1, and gains lifelink. It's a solid pickup in a limited strategy because this is like what I like to call aggro breakers. So if you're an aggro black deck versus an aggro red deck, this is the card that will push you ahead. Liliana's Indignation, X in black. Put the top X card of your library into your graveyard. Target player loses 2 life for each creature card put in your graveyard this way. That is also not a bad card. I'm thinking like the Narcomoeba type deck or any sort of self-mill type strategy. This is not a bad card. I might like this in my Balfour the Defiled or the Mimeoplasm EDH deck because it is a way to self-mill. I don't know if it's the best self-mill because we already have like cards that can do a better job of this. A lot of those are starting to go into green or blue though, so this is just a mono black way to do so. And it's definitely not again, this could see some implications in like the Waste Not deck where I can start generating a lot of mana and then put the top X cards in my library, but I usually don't want creature cards. But you could go a creature-based deck. Like I'm thinking of like a Bridge to Below type strategy. This may be good. But again, in Modern, there's probably just better things. Solid card. I'm sure that we can find ways to break it. Morkret Necropod, 6 mana for a 7/7 menace. When it attacks or blocks, you have to sacrifice another creature or land. Yeah, I do not like this card. Even if I can somehow reanimate it, it's terrible. Pale Rider of Trostad, Skulk, and enters the battlefield. You have to discard a card, but it's 2 mana for a 3/3 that triggers off Madness, and so far we're seeing some really good Madness cards, especially in black and blue. Skulk Death Touch 2. I'd rather have it a 1/1/1 Death Touch. The Skulk is pretty insignificant. Sanitarium Skeleton. Return Sanitarium Skeleton from your graveyard to your hand. So it's, what's that card that does something like this? But here we go. Here's another value-based you can get for discarding cards and then being able to return it back. I'm sure this might see some play. The 3 mana is a little bit rough, but a 1 mana for a 1/2 isn't bad at all. Too bad it's a skeleton and not a zombie. I hate when they do that. Stallion of Ashmoth, because there's very little things to do with skeletons. That's why I'm saying that. Stallion of Ashmoth. A 2-mana Stallion of Ashmoth gets +1/+1 until in turn activate this ability if they're so Delirium, so it can get so it can pump up. That's not bad. Throttle is reprinted for the 9th millionth time. Actually, I think it was only printed one time with like Innistrad or cons. Blood Mad Vampire, 3 mana for a 4/1. Whenever Blood Mad deals combat damage to player, put a +1 counter. And Madness. The Vampire Madness is awesome. Pauper Madness is going to be a thing after this set. Here's another perfect card for Madness 2 for a 4/1 that gets bigger. Why is it a Berserker, though? It needs to be a Rogue. Dissension of the Rakes, 5 mana. Target blocking creature fights another target blocking creature. That's kind of cool, actually. Dual Shot deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. This is a sweet card. It's a Forked Bolt for 1 mana instant speed. Other than you cannot do it to a player, but Delver doesn't care. This can be a perfect card for, like, we'll see playing Modern. I think this will actually replace Forked Bolt. I don't think that the damage to a player is that significant. But you have to have 2 targets, so maybe Forked Bolt is better because, yep, you do have to have the 2 targets. Geist Blast, 3 mana. Geist Blast deals 2 mana to start creature player, and exile Geist Blast from your graveyard, copy target instant source spell. Holy bonkers good. Just, do you know what I like this for? Is never really casting it for the 2 damage. This is one of those cards you want to mill. Does Storm want this card? Possibly. Possibly Storm does want this card. I think it does. Not for the 2 damage, but again, this could be your finisher for Storm because if you can copy it with Pyromancer's Ascension enough times, you could, so it's going to do the 2 damage and copied, and yeah, I don't quite think it can replace like Grape Shot because I don't think you'll be able to copy enough of these. But, so you cast it, it does damage, then you exile it to copy another instant sorcery spell, and for 3 mana. I think that the Storm may want this card. We'll have to wait and see. Howlback Wolf, can't attack a block, and that's another Werewolf or Wolf. Inner Struggle deals damage to itself equal to its power. So they've actually, we have this card earlier in another Rack with Madness, but it was sorcery speed. This is an instant speed Rack with Madness. Here's a Vampire 1 mana Menace. Discard a card, sacrifice Insolent, and then draw a card. Discard, draw, Vampire. This does have like a way for... Doesn't this look like... What's his name? The pop star. Michael Jackson. Look, it's Michael Jackson vampire form. Oh, jeez. It is. Anyway, 1 mana, 1/1. You can discard a card, sacrifice it, draw a card. Not a bad little filler card. It could go in some sort of recursion-based strategy where you can get this back and sacrifice and draw cards. You still have to discard a card, but again, with the Madness theme with vampires, that's pretty good. Malevolent Whispers. 4 mana for gain control of a target creature until turn, untap it, gains haste, +2/+0, Madness. Pretty sweet. Little act of treason on a Madness form. Reduced to Ashes. Deals 5 damage to target creature. If that would die, exile for 5 mana. That's kind of high casting cost for sorcery speed removal, but it'll work. Rush of Adrenaline. Target creature gets +2/+1 and trample until end of turn. It's not bad. This is good for like the prowess type strategies. This might work in Kiln Fiend. I don't know if Kiln Fiend would quite want this over like a Titan Strength though. That 1 damage is very significant. But it's another one of those cards. Like I'm thinking that like Mono Red Pauper, the Satyr Hoplite and Satyr Hoplite, Kiln Fiend, the Acrone Crusader. I think this works perfectly in a deck like that wants these cards. Senseless Rage. Here's another Madness card. And Madness enchanted creature gets +2/+2. It's just something that you can get value for Madness. I like this a lot. Madness, again, is one of my favorite mechanics ever printed. Spiteful Notice. Flash enchanted creature gets +3/+0 on its first strike. It's pretty good with a flash. We've seen these cards before. Combat tricks are good. Stentia Masquerade. Attacking creatures you can draw first strike. Whenever vampire creature deals combat damage to a player, put a +1 counter. And it's got Madness on an enchantment. This is a pretty sweet card. I like it. Tormenting Voice sees a reprint, so it's going to be around for a while. This card's been reprinted into Oblivion, though. I was thinking about speccing into Tormenting Voices because I think like 3 years down the road. There are some decks that already use this card, but now with its 3rd reprint in a row, yeah, I don't see this card ever going above bulk value. So it's cool, though, that it's going to be around. Ulrich's Kindred. Trample. Target attacking wolf or werewolf gains indestructible. Not bad. 3/2. Wolf for 3 with trample. Uncaged Fury. Target creature gets +1/+1 gains double strike until end of turn. A huge spell. Once again, this is like a Temur Battle Rage. This is actually really good because Temur Battle Rage gain double strike and trample, though. This just gets +1/+1 and gains double strike. Instant speed. Right now, I think that Assault Strobe or Temur Battle Rage is probably better, but that's basically doing 2 extra damage with the double strike, and then giving a card double strike. It's an instant speed. You could literally build a Kiln Fiend now with double strike, Temur Battle Rage, Assault Strobe, and Uncaged Fury. And then every one of your cards gives double strike. Oh, geez. I think the 3 mana is a little bit rough, though. I think there's better options. But in Standard, we don't have anything at the moment. So this is going to see play in some sort of double strike deck. It will happen. Byway Courier, we're into green now. Investigate. 3/2 when it dies. Not bad. Confront the Unknown. Investigate, then target creatures +1/+1. Beginning of your upkeep, you may put the top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard. Whenever 1 or more lands are put in your graveyard from anywhere, put a 1/1 green insect token. This can go in those self-mill strategies, Sidisi commander decks. It's decent. It gets you some insect tokens. And then later on, like a lot of Sidisi decks you want to use, like Alter the Brood or Skull Clamp's a very, very good card in Sidisi deck, and this will give you a lot of ammo for it. I think it's powerful enough for those type of strategies. Cryptolith Rite. 2 mana. Creature control of add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. This is actually pretty decent. Wow. Okay, this can be broken. This absolutely can be broken in Modern. You need to give them haste now, though, but I'm thinking like Beck Call type strategies, or not Beck Call, that's a bad example, but Young Pyromancer. Or Monastery Mentor. If there's a way we can give them haste, you can easily go infinite. There'd be so many ways to go through your deck whenever, like, drawing cards and adding mana, adding creatures. Yeah, this card is going to be broken somewhere. I like this card a lot. Cold of the Waxing Moon, 5 mana for a 5/4. Whenever a permanent you control transforms into a non-human creature, you can put a 2/2 wolf creature token on the battlefield. And so this actually, is, besides just saying whenever werewolf transforms, there's other things that transforms. So, it's went into a non-human. Okay, yeah. So there's very few things to do transform into humans. There's a few here and there. But then you get 2/2 wolves. Not a bad card in limited. There's a lot of synergies with it. Equestrian Skill. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and as long as the enchanted creature is a human, it has trample. 4 mana for enchantment is not what I like to see. Go on a hexproof card. That's the only thing I'd feel good about putting it in. Fork the Road. Search your library for up to two basic land cards and reveal them. Put one of your hand and the other into your graveyard. Oh, okay. So this is a Delirium Enabler. It's pretty sweet, actually, because you get to go get 2 basics, 1 in the graveyard for Delirium, and then fix. Yeah, it's not bad. This is not bad at all. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you gain 3 life. That's a solid pickup. 3 mana for a 2/4. So you've got added bonus of having an extra 2 toughness. Intrepid Provisioner. Trample. When it enters the battlefield, another target human you control gets +2/+2. Yeah, we've seen those type of cards before. Kezig Dire Swine. 6 mana for a 6/6. Delirium. Has trample. It's alright. Lone Druid, 1 mana, 1/2, tap and untap trigger control, add 1 mana pool. Is this what our mana dorks are coming to? It's okay, though, because you can drop like another drop and then tap it to add 1 mana. It's okay. It's sort of ramp-ish, I guess. It's the best they're going to give us these days for a 1 mana dork. 4 mana, put 2/+1 counters on target creatures. If you have Delirium, put 3 instead. Instant speed, not bad. Moldgraft Scavenger. Delirium, it gets +3/+0. So it starts at 0/4, then becomes a 3/4. So far, I'm not really liking green. I think green's been the weakest one. Choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control that's wolf or werewolf deals damage equal to its power to that creature. So all of your wolves and werewolves fight, but don't fight. They just do damage to that creature. So it's removal for green werewolf archetype. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Investigate. 3 mana sorcery. Do not like this card just because of the sorcery speed. You don't want destroy effects in sorcery. Veteran Cathar. Target human gains double strike. Not a bad card. 2 mana for a 2/2 with an upswing. Weirding Wood. 3 mana. Enchant land. Enters the battlefield. Investigate. And enchant land has add 2 mana to your mana pool of any. Okay. It overrides the ability. I'm like, wow, this is really, really good for Tooth and Nail because it's Overgrowth. But it's actually not Overgrowth. It overrides the ability. So your land will not be tapping for that. It's regular mana. It's add 2 mana. It gives its ability on top of its already ability. But if you have other abilities that say whenever land taps for mana, add something, this can still work on those. But this is kind of weird. I don't think that it's going to go in Tooth and Nail. Overgrowth's just better because it's net up 1 more mana. And yeah. Epitaph Golem, 5 mana. We're into artifacts for a 3/5. Put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of your library. I think it's kind of... This is actually kind of... Well, it helps you from not getting milled, but I do not like this card, especially 5. Haunted Cloak, 3 mana. Enchanted creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Didn't we already get this out of that Chariot? It was just barely out in a couple sets ago. And equip 1. Not bad in like a commander deck that wants Trample, Haste, and Vigilance. Like a Skittles deck. This is not bad. Because you want Skittle. I don't like that. I'd rather... it gave First Strike, not Vigilance. That's what the Chariot got. Murderer's Axe. +2/+2. Discarding a card is a way to equip it. Again, not a bad Infect type card. Because it allows you to not instant speed, but free, manaless equip. Not a big fan, though. Runaway Carriage, Trample. When Runaway Carriage attacks or blocks, sacrifice it in a combat. Oh, Murderer's Axe can get Madness online, though. I don't like the 4, though. Trample, attacks each blocks, sacrifice it in a combat. 4 mana for a 5/6. These traditionally do see play. If you have any like recursion-based strategy, or here's a way to get an artifact into the graveyard quite easily. 5/6 doesn't have haste, though, so you have to wait a turn. The 6 is kind of weird. 5/5, I guess, is fine. It's going to die anyway and trample through. So, not a bad card, though. Skeleton Key, 1 mana. Equip, creature has Skulk. Whenever creature deals combat damage to player, you may draw a card, then discard a card. So, it's a nice little Madness enabler, loot enabler. Slayer's Pate, 3 mana. Equip 3. Crit creature 4/2. When it dies, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token on flying. These equipments are usually good because it gives you something to re-equip to. So you can get it on your first thing. It dies, it gets a 1/1 white spirit creature token that you can then equip. So it's almost like you always have a 5/3 flying spirit creature on the battlefield. This card is going to be a limited bomb. I don't quite think it's going to be playable in Constructed. It's just 3 mana and 3 mana equip. A lot of times it's very, very tough to pull off. And then in Modern with all the hate, of course this is not Modern playable. But Slayer's Plate is this is probably going to be one of the most bomby limited cards that I've seen so far out of the set. True Faith Censor. Equipped creature has +1 and it has Vigilance. As long as it's a human, it gets +1/+0. Human Tribe is still a thing. A 3 mana 3/1 bulk Scarecrow card. Hey, you get another Scarecrow for your Scarecrow EDH deck, and get another Scarecrow for your EDH deck with Defender. 3 mana, sacrifice wild field Scarecrow, search your library up to 2 basic lands, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library. So it's not quite the Burnished Heart, but it's still another artifact you can sack to get 2 basic lands to put in your hand. Not bad. We traditionally do see these cards hit EDH. I think Burnished Heart's just so much better because they come directly into play, and this card is 1 less to activate than the Burnished Heart, but that directly into play is huge. Alright, the 24th had a few other cards. I guess with this one, if you've probably already seen them, there's nothing I'm going to talk about. A lot of these were like the filler cards. But I'm going to do a top 10. It's going to be so hard for me to choose a top 10 cards of cards I want to brew around. I do this for most sets. In the past few sets I haven't done them just because I was busy with coaching and they just came at very, very unopportune times. But I will do a top 10 cards that I'm looking for to brew. It is going to be insanely tough for this set. There's been sets that I can barely scrape by 10 cards that I actually can make a top 10 list with. This, I could pick 30, 35, 40 cards out of this set. This is probably my favorite, my most anticipated set of all time. Fate Reforged would be the last set that I was this excited with. I'm probably twice as excited with this set that I was for Fate Reforged. There is just bonkers good, synergistic, fun cards that are... I just love the interactions. This is Magic at its greatest, in my opinion. A lot of people ask me, what do I like about Magic? Because I've complained so much about SiegeRhino.net, or .deck, the Siege Rhino format, Siege Rhino.standard, I guess is what you'd call it, or just the good stuff.deck cards. I cannot stand those formats, and it looks like we're going in the opposite direction to synergy, and just really interacting with your opponent. And that is what I love about last Innistrad, and I'm going to love about this Innistrad. Let's hope it plays out. Let's hope it's not like dominated by cards that are not rotating from Dragons or Origins or the Zendikar block. I'm hoping that a lot of these cards actually can see enough play. So again, in the comment section below, let me think what you think about that plain format. I think that'd be really, really cool. I'd be super excited to have Innistrad block, or Innistrad plane now with our new Innistrad plane, and see what we could come up with. And yeah, we'll try to do a format. We'll try to get some some hype for it. Anyway, this has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.